Back, everybody, to another episode of Anything Goes with Anna Rose. I am so excited. I feel a bit lonely today, I'll be honest. I am on the couch in the podcast studios by myself. I have had some guests on the last couple of weeks, which the feedback has been incredible on. If you have not listened to those episodes, go back and listen to the incredible Natalie Williams. And then I had Coco on for the next 2 episodes talking about all things wealth, property, economic cycles, what's to come. And today I'm sitting down to do a solo episode because the upcoming episodes, I have my incredible accountant coming on. I have a property coach coming on because I really want to give a very balanced perspective on the current economics of our nation and not be necessarily anti-property, because I am not that at all. And I have an incredible domestic violence, she's everything, counsellor, family courts representative. So she's going to come in and have a conversation, probably 1 or 2 episodes with me as well. So there's a lot of guests coming up. So I wanted to sit on the mic today, and I'm just checking the time, and just have a conversation with you myself and do a Q&A, because the bigger and busier I get across all brands, which is very busy and very big, the less I can necessarily be in my own inbox. And I have been in my own brand, so Anna Rose the brand's inbox since I've started online, so 12 years. And I know it's an enormous reason why and how I have grown the community that I have grown. It's because I give such an enormous shit about you all. And I literally managing my inbox, my personal Anna Rose DM inbox itself would and could be a full-time job. It's pretty much been comfortably part-time, more than part-time the last 12 years. And yeah, as the businesses grow, and also I move into different seasons and also become more private myself, my brand's page is now private. Anna Rose is now private, which I love. It's been that way for about 6 weeks. I have been out of my inbox a little bit less, not for any other reason than I literally am just scaling other brands, so the other companies. So I'm on the mic today I did a Q&A box on my Instagram. I was instantly flooded by incredible questions, and it's all around my current season of business, motherhood, money, and relationships. So I really hope you get something out of today. I'm going to try my hardest to answer as many questions as possible. I was going to have Ryan or Katie come in and do that Q&A style interview, but I thought I'm literally just going to ask the questions myself because I can get through more without engaging in discussion around those questions. So I am going to be on my phone because I have all of the questions on my Instagram. Before I get into that though, I actually really want to say, podcasting is no joke, my loves. It is no joke. It is also something I do take I respect very highly, because I learn myself so much from podcasts. I am in a separation season at the moment. I've talked about this a little bit on my Instagram, and all that means for me is I am so locked the fuck in to growth, to business, to health, and to just mindset, to be honest, really trying to learn more and more and more to bring you more and more and more. And so I am listening to a lot of podcasts myself at the moment. And honestly, the quality that is out there these days of free information that I myself utilize is extraordinary. And I am so grateful and blessed. So when I sit down to record an episode or bring a guest on, I know the currency of taking 45 to 60 minutes of your time where you could also be listening to another podcast or doing something else. So I'm really conscious of that, and that's why I want to bring on more expert guests. So that is all to say, I would love, if you get any value out of this podcast, subscribe. If you go onto Spotify, I've got my phone because I wanted to people always ask me, how do you do it? If you go onto Spotify and you go to, if that's where you listen to it, Anything Goes, let's have a look. You can then, right at the top, there's a button that says follow. You can click that button, which would be amazing. And then on Apple iTunes, same thing. If you go to any podcast, right at the top, it says follow. It literally is a plus sign, and follow, and you click that and you follow. And what that does is it subscribes to the podcast. So what that means is that every single time a new episode drops, it just will alert you. So it tells you a new episode is live for the podcast and you can go and listen to it. But what that also does is it gives me statistics to then go to incredible guests that I can show them, hey, this is my amount of downloads, which is already extraordinarily high, which I'm so grateful for. I'm a podcast worth coming on as a guest for. That's how podcasts grow. So please go like and subscribe. I know I joke all the time and I'm like and subscribe, but it is such a help to podcasters and to people around the world when you do give them the currency of a follow. So with that being said, let us dive in, friends. There is so much to say and so much to get through. I'm kind of I don't know where to start. I feel like I'm probably going to start with this moving teasing that I've not been teasing. I've basically flat out been consistently saying that Ryan and I are absolutely looking to move from Australia, which we are. I'm going to start there, and I'm also going to start with IVF because everyone's asking me about that. So let's start with IVF because that is a very hot thing in Ryan and I's life at the moment. So there's questions like any updates on IVF? What does my fertility protocol look like? I would love to know more about the 5-month IVF conception timeline. Love to know more about the cleanse you are embarking on to prepare for contraception and IVF. Okay, so all of these amazing questions about that. So Ryan and I, as you all know, are on an IVF journey. Unfortunately, his 2 reversals were unsuccessful. You can go back and listen to those conversations. And so we were waiting. We have been waiting for our appointment with Dr. Ki Ung mid-September. We're almost there. In that time, we sat down and said, okay, we've got to do IVF. We had been extremely healthy the last year, minimal and or no periods of drinking. Supplements, we supplement like a boss. We always eat really clean. We train really hard. So the base foundation of our health is really important to us and always really strong. Then we sat down and we were like, okay, we're going to do IVF. When do we want to do it? We know what's going to happen when we sit with Dr. Ung. We've got options. We can go IUI, natural, quote unquote IVF, which is more like they put the sperm and the egg in a petri dish and see if they want to make out and become a, can't think of the word, but basically an embryo. And then the highest level is an ICSI, ICSI, which is they take the sperm, they take the egg and they put it together and allow that to, is it something blast? Anyway, and then reinsert it. So they're kind of our options. Anyway, we sat down and we said, we know that's going to happen. We also really want to do now some serious prep before that happens because IVF is not guaranteed, just so you know. And we came up with our own timeline. So we said, right, let's have some fun for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Let's be relaxed. Let's have some more, let's go to some parties, let's go clubbing, let's do that because we're about to enter a very hardcore protocol. And let's just have some fun with each other before we put ourselves through this enormous fucking stress of IVF and just the roller coaster that comes with that. And so we did that. We've been in that period, which was really fun. And we knew as of the 1st of September, we were going to enter into a protocol. So what that looks like, we are under the guidance of Dee Zabara, who is an incredible hormonal fertility coach in the space. And basically for us, we are choosing to do this pre-IVF. It is a 5-month protocol and it is to get our bodies in the cleanest, purest, most pristine state before we even attempt to extract my eggs, extract his sperm, put it together and put it back in via IUI or ICSI. I won't do the natural petri dish thing. I'm like, fuck it. If I'm in IVF, I'm good with the take my egg, take the sperm, put it together. I may do an IUI. I'm undecided on, or we may do an IUI. I'm undecided on that. But this protocol is incredible. It's 5 months. If you are interested, if you are in fertility or on this path, I fundamentally believe preparation is more important than pregnancy, right? This is all just my opinion and it's not right. It's just my opinion. So I always knew I was going to do this protocol. I was excited to do this or something like it. Then I found Dee and I was like, oh, That's how I found her. And so for us, we are going, of course, booze-free. So booze-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, pretty much dairy-free, very much 100% whole foods. Supplements that she guides us on. So she sends us all the supplements. And then within that, it's basically, we've got coffee enemas. It's a 5-month detox protocol. So there's a parasite cleanse, coffee enemas, supplements, whole foods, training, food. It's the whole shebang. And the idea is that you get your sperm and your eggs and your body, where the baby will then grow, in the most pristine, clean, clear, healthy state that you can imagine. Because I just believe, they say how you birth is how you live. I think how you prepare is how you carry pregnancy is then how you birth, and then that's how you live. So for me, this preconception rite of passage has been an enormous part of our IVF and journey, because we're not even there yet. And I would rather wait. I am 37, March, April, May, June, July, August, 37 and a half this month. This protocol takes us to January. I will almost be 38, but I said to Ryan, and he's amazing. He's like, whatever you want to do, I'm all in. So he's doing it with me, which I fucking love. A lot of men are more like, this is your thing, baby, go. But Ryan was like, this is our thing, baby, let's go. So that's what we're doing. So that's the IVF. We will begin a transfer of the ICSI and stuff, or even an IUI around Jan at the very end of this protocol, at which time, just so you know as well, someone was like, most stories with women, which I love, are like, oh, fuck, I found out I was pregnant the night after the biggest night of my life. Like, I was fucked up, and I'm like, phenomenal. I love that. What a gift that they're still here. But for me, it's just different. It looks different because I don't get that option, essentially. It's very planned, medically involved, and so I want to be as natural as possible. The other thing I want to say, your eggs, yes, they are in your grandmother, but ultimately your eggs that will be inseminated in essence are 3 months old. So they are created and released from 3 months prior. So for us doing a 5-month protocol, I will share the results. I will share egg health. I will share everything. I'm going to share this journey. We're going to share this journey. So we'll have some real medical scientific data to back up what I'm about to do. Not that it's about that. It's literally for us. But yeah, I'm really excited. So that's where we're at. We will be in a 5-month protocol. It's really full on. I'm stoked to do it because we're in a separation season anyway. And then come 2026, we will begin our very first IVF extraction, transfer, etc. We're still taking the appointment, of course, mid-September to understand where we're getting the system with Dr. Ung essentially, and then go from there. All right, my loves, next question. It's all around, so that was a big one. The next question that I'm getting the most is all around this current desire and choice to move from Australia. This will kind of be a long-ish answer, but it's going to answer so many questions that so many hundreds of you are messaging me every other day about this decision. And I'm just making sure. So it's what country are you thinking to move to? Best countries to live to avoid all tax collapse. Where are you thinking of possibly moving? There's so many. Yeah, where are you moving? What country are you moving to? All right. So here we go, guys. If you ask that question or you've been thinking that question, this is where I'm going to go with that. I'm also going to give you some stats essentially on tax around the world. So if you are thinking of moving, you have a basic understanding. What I want to say though, and I know I'm talking quick because I want to get through as much as possible for you on this episode. What I want you to know is Australia is the best country in the world. I've traveled to 45 countries now. 160 something cities. And that's still infant to me, right? I am a very well-traveled. I lived in the UK when I was 18. I took off with a one-way ticket. I have done travel. I have been to third world countries. I have been to war-torn countries. I have been to Maldives. I've comprehensively traveled. I can unequivocally say, in my opinion, we are the most blessed in Australia. I don't want to move. It's not that I hate Australia. It's ever. I love Australia. I love Australians. The issue I personally have, and again, this does not mean it has to be your story, but my current issue, there's a lot. I believe for the generational wealth, the legacy wealth that I want to create cannot be done right now. That is not to say that it can't be done if politicians are forced to act, which I genuinely believe they will have to in the future. But I believe the generational wealth and the goals that I currently have for my life, and I won't speak on behalf of Ryan, he's got his own amazing goals, and our children's life cannot be done in Australia right now. That's not to scare you, because it's still a stunning country. It is still an affluent country for right now. I do believe the middle class is about to get decimated in Australia. It already is. And I do think it is still one of the greatest places to live. If I could stay here morally, ethically, politically, I would. But that's not my reality anymore. And I have my reasons and a really strong why. And I'm only sharing this because I share my life. I've always done that. So please know that just because this is my current story, it doesn't have to be yours. It's not like I'm trying to become this ambassador for everyone to leave Australia. But the DMs that I am having with hundreds of women, and then they're getting their husbands to follow, and I'm not speaking to them, but it's like, oh, that's so cute. Like couples are starting to follow, is because they are also saying, fuck, someone's speaking about this. We've been looking into this for several months, or we've been looking into this for a few years. And I'm like, wow, like there's this underground current of Australians, which is exactly what I have foreseen coming, that are the wealthy ones too, which is painful for Australia, are looking to leave because it's not tenable for us anymore. It's not smart to stay. For us, so right now, so here's my reasoning. Right now, first of all, the nail in the coffin, and I spoke about this on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, the nail in the coffin for me with Natalie was reading in the Australian Financial Review that over 50% of Australians are currently relying on the government for their main source of income. That was it for me. I was like, okay, right. I knew it was bad, but I don't think I wanted to address how bad Australia had gotten almost from a socialist perspective. And I was literally like, no matter what comes now, whatever comes, another pandemic, anything, a new vax that's mandated, social ID, anything, especially social ID, because that's an Australian thing. No matter what comes, we're fucked, unfortunately. And we know I am the most incurably optimistic, happy, positive woman I know. And I'm not saying that as a bad or negative thing, but unfortunately, when the government successfully puts its nation on a welfare drip, and the moment that it chooses to say, you must do this, and there's non-compliance, the first thing they do is turn off your money. The first. It is automatic compliance, because you then can't afford to put food on your table, petrol in your car, or a roof over your head. So you go, fuck, all right, I'll go get the vaccine. Fuck, all right, I'll give you all of my details and face identification to get online, right? And I don't judge you for that whatsoever. I'm pro-choice and sovereign, right? That is the hill that I die on. What sovereignty looks like for you can be different to me. But for me, I have always rallied against the government respectfully, because I'm like, the less interference you can have in my life, the better. I am all but libertarian. So, which just means literally minimalist government intervention in my life. So when I heard that, I thought, right, we're fucked. During COVID, I was able to fight for Australians and speak up more. And I do believe that COVID sent us here. The pandemic basically led us to this slippery socialist demise. But I feel like then people could fight back far more because there wasn't that heavily reliant on the government. I think from that pandemic, this has occurred for sure. But as I said, unfortunately, if anything comes knocking on Australian shores, the compliance is going to be plus 50% of Australians, because they are relying on either government jobs, they're cushy government jobs. That's part of the main source of income. And so it's like, well, the standard or the policy in our administration is that you have to have the vax, or you must sign up to this policy or whatever, or you lose your job, or you're compliant. Or it's we already have it. If you don't vax your kids, then they can't go to preschool, right? In some states, most states, you just have to pay more in some states. So it's already there. What's going to happen now is that they just turn off your welfare or they end your job, right? Not for me. Bye, right? I'm out. I can fight for Australia, but I feel far safer as well, because I do believe Australia is headed to what the UK is happening in the UK, which is fucking terrifying. The UK does not have free speech anymore. I'd be in jail. If I lived in the UK, I would fundamentally have been locked up by now. And if you don't understand what that means, or what, not what I mean by that, but yeah, what I mean by that, essentially, start to go and look internationally at politics, start to understand the political landscape across the globe, because it's terrifying in some countries, Canada and the UK specifically for me. So yeah, so I thought, right, that's that for me. What's the point? I can't fight for Australians. I will continue no matter what. But ultimately, I would feel safer offshore. If anything comes, I'm going to feel far safer away from our current government offshore. That's number one. The second thing for me was that the wealthier I am getting, the more that I'm being smarter with my money, the more investments that I have made. And it's so funny. It's like, if I listen to my biggest fans and my biggest critics, I'm either the most broke, fucking narcissistic, evil woman on earth, or I'm the wealthiest. I am neither, right? I'd say smack down the middle, right? But I've made very smart choices. I've been an incredibly clever, always lived within my means, always been very careful. I could have lived in a $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, a rental. I could have bought a house by now. That was never, and I'm going to get into that about assets. That's never been my foray. Like, my asset class that I choose has always, since I have earned money at around 25, been crypto and shares. I know my asset, I own my asset, and I claim my asset, right? And that's the number one advice I'll always give to someone. If that's property for you, go and know your asset, love your asset, own your asset, and claim it. Like, that's what you're going to focus on, invest in. That's not property for me. That's why I don't own a house yet. And because freedom's my highest value. If I want to fuck off from Australia, bye. So that's been really important. So the wealthier I get and the more strategic with tax I want to become, it's not about evasion at all whatsoever. It's about intelligent decision making. Australia isn't it. And my accountant for 2 years has been sat on a monthly call with me and been like, Anna, think about overseas. Just think about it. You would be saving hundreds of thousands of dollars more. Like, it's just a smart move. And I'm like, no. La, 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 la. Like, didn't want to hear it because I'm absolutely obsessed with my lifestyle here. And then things have changed. Taxes are coming in at an extraordinary rate. Taxes are rising. Living conditions are just like, the fact, I read the statistic the other day and I forget it, so I'm not going to quote it, but the amount of Australians that are apparently, allegedly putting just their groceries on Afterpay is so fucking terrifying and upsetting to me but I genuinely can't do anything else about it other than sit on this podcast every single week and talk about it and make you aware and live my life as a pillar of possibility of what it can look like when you make really strategic, hard, but smart decisions for your life. So that's where I'm at, right? I wanted to give you context around the why of my decision to leave Australia. Now, it's not immediate. I am very what's the word? I don't know, connected to Australia from a business perspective. So I am very strategically, legally, cleverly, carefully working out my strategy right now with my amazing accountant. And also, we're not ready. Like I said to Ryan, we're still good. It's still fine. It's absolutely okay right now. We've put some more, I think 2 more investment strategies. Is it 2 or 3? 2. 2 more investment strategies in place, which is earning us incredible returns. And both are in crypto. And so for me, I'm like, again, that's fine for right now because we're just putting money in, it's compounding, that's fine. But I said to Ryan, when the time comes to want to pull that, we ain't fucking doing it in Australia. Mark my words, I will be damned if I pay a cent more of tax or capital gains just because I was smart and just because I invested my money. The government doesn't need any more of my wealth. It just doesn't. So that's why we're moving, right? That is the context of why we're moving. So then we started to look, okay, where would we go? Obviously, Dubai is an absolute no-brainer from an infrastructure, wealth building opportunity, just access to the world, business opportunity, and tax strategy, right? So Dubai was always, and I love Dubai. I've been twice. My practice husband proposed to me there. So I love Dubai. I have not been in, I don't know how many years, a long while, but we're going back hopefully this year. We're looking at December just to go back and have another look, assimilate again. So we definitely want to stay in a beautiful hotel and do the thing, and then literally go and stay in the marina or stay where we would be looking to live in a year, and assimilate, go to the gym, cook food, pretend that we live there. Like, could we really do it? Because tax strategy is one thing, but your life and your life force is another. So that's a huge thing. So we are absolutely looking at Dubai. 0% tax in Dubai. I've got all the stats here. I wanted to just tell you why we are looking there. I'm going to give you my literal exact dream. So Dubai is one area. So 0% tax, personal tax, 9% company tax, which is unbelievable, and 5% VAT, which is like GST, right? So we've got 10% GST on everything, and it's looking to be raised to 15%. Dubai, for example, 5%. We have here up to 47%, 47% on personal tax. Dubai, 0%. It's a fucking no-brainer. One-way ticket will literally change your wealth, your generational wealth. It's insane. 9% corporate tax. Here it's 25%, right? But it can be up to 30% when you're earning like squillions more. But the difference between 25% and 9%, you guys, and then 0% for personal tax. So the way you then set up your structures, because here everything is run through trusts and companies for me. My entire life, Anna Rose, like me as an individual, I'm broke as fuck, quote unquote, right? On paper. So ATO, I'm probably at a loss with the ATO, right? As Anna Rose, my companies and my trusts is where all my money is kept, completely fucking legally. So in Dubai, you would set the strategy up a little bit different. You as the individual would pull most of your income, 100%. Again, just clever accounting, tax strategy. And then your company would earn a little bit less because that's 9%, whereas personal 0%. So all of my investments that I have made over several years, shares, crypto, etc., I would be pulling in my personal name because there's 0% capital gains, 0% personal tax. It's a fucking no-brainer. I literally, by buying one-way ticket to Dubai and becoming a non-tax resident of Australia, so I'm not just moving to Dubai. Ryan and I are absolutely looking to become non-tax residents of Australia, and I'll tell you what that looks like, and becoming residents of the world. Actually, we're going to have a few setups. Changes, I save hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, all of which I would put straight back into investments, predominantly Bitcoin at this point. Not financial advice, it's just where I'm aggressively investing, and another portfolio. And I build my wealth. One-way ticket changes that in an instant, which is just fucking insanity. So that's what we're thinking from a smart tax perspective. A lot of people I'm speaking to, a lot of wealthy people that I'm speaking to are also setting things up in Singapore, which I can understand. But for me, I've been to Singapore. It's very safe. It's very clean. But I get nothing from Singapore. I actually love Dubai. I really love Dubai. I'm trying to find Singapore. And to me, Singapore tax is still quite high. So corporate tax in Singapore is at 17% and personal income tax is up to 22%, depending where you are. So yeah, for me, I'm not looking at Singapore right now as a personal tax strategy. Dubai is where I will become a tax resident of for taxation purposes. How that's going to look here in Australia, I'm literally still figuring that out. You have to dissolve and close up everything in terms of like where you live, how you live. I got asked the other day, will Zeus be coming? Zeus will be going on a private jet to Dubai, just so we all know. So he will not be undercarriage. But yes, Zeus will absolutely be coming. But what was I saying? Oh, how to become a non-tax resident of Australia. First of all, you cannot live here. Second of all, you cannot have homes. Homes is the biggest tie, not even businesses. I will keep, obviously, TDH Studio, but we're also, like, if in 1 year this is pumping and which it already is, and we've got we've got a year of financials and books, and if we want to sell it as the Dream House Studio, which we can, right? We're completely uncommitted to everything and anything right now. Because we don't have any debt. We don't have any loans, right? We are completely in the green in everything we do, Ryan and I. So it's just a beautiful position to be in. We have no ties from a property perspective, which is brilliant. So that's how we would do it. Super fucking interesting. What I will say is that right now, I know that to become, if we were living in Dubai, say, so quickly from a visa perspective, how we're going to do that is either through property. So we will do the golden visa through Natalie Williams, or I am potentially looking at the content creator, and I'm only looking at that. When we get to Dubai, we still are going to buy property and then start to do that as well from a wealth building perspective, because we will have hundreds of thousands of dollars extra a year just because we're not paying that to the Australian government anymore. But content creator, they're giving away, I think it was like 10,000 visas, golden visas for content creators. And the podcast is a big way that I could potentially get in that way, and then sponsor Ryan onto that. And the Dubai government will build me this fucking studio. It's insane. The government in Dubai, the billions of dollars that they're throwing into their economy to grow that nation, they're trying to attract people like us and people with money to make their country thrive. And I'm saying this, and this is so important, because look at the juxtaposition of that, right? Look at the Australian government, how they are absolutely raping us in the ass with no lube, and governments elsewhere around the world. And let me say, this government, we are one of the most naturally resourced nations, countries in the fucking world. But instead of the government taxing the multi-squillion dollar corporations in Australia, like who sends all of our gas off seas? BHP? They have tax breaks, right? They could be taxing, our government could be taxing, just like the Dubai government, just like the other governments around the world that is resource rich. They could be taxing these corporations that is literally raping and pillaging our natural resources to China, to other countries elsewhere. We then buy back our own resources whilst these multinational global corporations don't pay tax in Australia. So that's just not my responsibility anymore. I'm like, sorry, if the government cannot govern, I don't have to stay here and be hurt by them any longer. So this is like, I get very passionate about this now. So what I would say as well that's really interesting is that, so that's how I'm going to do it, right? That's how we're looking to do it, either through property. So we get a golden visa, we become tax residents of Dubai, we then go on their tax strategy and structure, or our tax strategy, but their tax structure. We become non-residents of Australia. I can keep as half director TDH Studio and Talk Collective. I may possibly look at moving Talk Collective because it will be far, far better for Talk Collective to be offshore. Offshore, we'll see. And then I can 3PL it here. But TDH, we may sell, we may keep, we don't know. But of course, the Australian government is fine as a resident, an individual becoming a non-tax resident, but they're fine if I keep companies. They can still, essentially, I can be seen broken free of becoming a non-tax resident, but still keep the Australian companies because the government wants to tax them. And I'm fine with that, right? If we keep TDH Studio and you want to tax that, that's fine. Just don't tax me. So, and that's the way that we're going to structure it. So that's what that looks like. But if you are looking to do this, you literally have to break every other tie. The other thing that I find really interesting and fascinating, and the government knows what's coming, they know we are all fucking leaving en masse because they've just announced, I don't know how recent, but right now to maintain non-tax residency of Australia, you could, I think it was 180, I've got it here in the stats. I was asking Kev, my chat GPT, 183 days, right? There was a 183-day test where you became a tax resident again of Australia, and the government would just like take a slice of your global income if you were in Australia more than 183 days, right? Which is 3, 6, 9, 12, 6 months. Like you could basically still just like be a non-tax resident of Australia, but live here about 5 months of the year. Okay. So still live here and still be considered a non-tax resident. As of 2026, so next year, they're changing it to 45 days. So when Ryan and I do leave, which will be in about a year, that's the plan. Could be quicker. It could be a little bit longer. We will only be able to come back to Australia for 45 days because if we're here for like 46 and the government will fucking get you, let me tell you, bang, they will automatically they will take a slice of your global income. So isn't that interesting? Don't you think that, yeah, the government's all over it. They know what's up and they know what's coming. So the structure that feels best for us, to answer the question that you're all asking, we will become non-tax residents of Australia. We are going to move to Dubai. Now, the beautiful thing about Dubai, we will get our golden visa, which is they're giving away at the moment like candy to people that invest in their economy. So it's not just like I can go and apply. I will be investing heavily in property there and or, like I said, content creator, a content creator visa. If I can get that, that's just so you know, that's my number one property to get there because I'm like, fuck, the government, if you go on that visa, they pay you to go. They pay to relocate you and they build you a studio for free. And you just then continue to build your businesses in Dubai. It's fucking insane. So, of course, smart woman, that is my number one priority. Once we get there, obviously building a property portfolio in Dubai, which is, you know, they're saying, and again, it's speculative, right? But I do absolutely believe property in Dubai is just such a brilliant investment. And I'm listening to more, like not just Natalie Williams, who's an incredible woman I had on the podcast, so many more property, what are they called, podcasts and advisors and educators in this space on this. And they're all saying the same thing. So we will look to build that portfolio when we're there. So Dubai, the beautiful thing about Dubai as well is that you don't, as long as you don't then have to be in Dubai 9 months or 6 months of the year to maintain tax residency. You just can't be anywhere else. You just have to be in and out of Dubai. Like you have to not be gone for longer than 6 months, which we wouldn't be anyway. I plan on literally being there. Okay, so then this is the strategy and structure we have in our head. Ryan and I want to be in Dubai 6 months of the year when the weather is just fucking perfect, which is kind of, what are we in now? Kind of October to February-ish. And then Bali is one of my favorite places on earth. It's why I got married there for the first time. I've been there 19 times. We're about to go for a 20. I love Bali. I love the people. I love the culture. I love everything about Bali. If you also are into astrocartography, one of my home success lines runs directly through fucking Bali. So I am astrologically meant to be in Bali. You know what's really fucking interesting as well? If this excites you, go look it up and do your astrocartography. But my wealth line, my success, growth, wealth line runs directly through Dubai. So I'm really excited. Interestingly as well, and I'm like, oh, my mother, my home, which I already knew this, runs directly through Gold Coast. So I knew that. I'm because that's why I moved here from Perth 7 years ago. So the goal Ryan and I have, and this is, you'll watch this play out because anything I speak comes into being because I live my life in accordance and I execute on what I believe in. But we will be doing approximately 6 months in Dubai. We will go and do 3 months in Bali, not as tax, just as holiday visa people. We will, we're looking at visa requirements of that as well. Obviously, you can't be there longer than 30 days, but you can always extend your visa when you're there. Even if we have to leave and come back within that 3 months period, which is what everybody does, we can and will do that legally. And so 6 months in Dubai, 3 months in Bali, 1 month in I was going to say Perth, in Gold Coast, coming home. And then to do check on businesses and family and friends, obviously. And then the rest either home in Dubai or traveling the world, right? We will be so much closer to all of my favorite places that I absolutely love and adore. And so and we'll have so much more fucking wealth that we can travel more and have more freedom and have more time. So it's very exciting. I don't know if this feels so normal for me. This sounds and feels just very like I'm having a cup of coffee with a girlfriend and I'm like, yeah, of course, this is what I'm doing. If this feels like, holy shit, Anna, to you, just keep watching because you will literally watch this play out now. I don't gatekeep. I will share as I go, as we go. Our goal right now and our focus right now is to get Tour Collective for me. So this is mine. Tour Collective really foundationally stronger than ever and more off the ground than ever, that when Katie or whomever that role then becomes really steps into the role as managing director essentially, and I leave and I then become like absolute advisor, still do all the designing, etc., but really get Tour Collective as grounded and foundational and successful as ever in the next 12 to 18 months. And TDH, it already is. We're already like getting there, but like really operational, fully functional. So if we want to put his son in, Charlie, his girlfriend, whoever, in to run it, or someone else, if you're listening to this, like an operations manager to come in and run this, beautiful. And then the rest of the company structures just get transported to Dubai and everything gets reset up in Dubai. So all my coaching, which there'll be more of as well, and any new companies that I set up in the future will be run from Dubai, which is really exciting. So I will be sharing all of that as we go though. Babies and stuff, can't wait. Dubai would be one of the safest countries in the world from a medical perspective for me to birth in. I plan on hopefully birthing our first or twins here before we go. But then we've got, babies that we strap to us and travel the world and show them the world. So I'm excited. There's nothing about it that doesn't feel expansive and fucking exciting for me. But that's the plan. I have 20 minutes to answer as many more questions as possible. So I will continue to talk about this, I promise, as we go. So yeah, strap in. All right, I'm reading the questions now. Another one I wanted to answer, and I'm going to try to be quick on this one because I could talk about this on a whole podcast forever. But I really want to quickly say on this because most of the questions, to be honest, was about where am I moving, what countries, etc. If this excites you or you're like, yeah, Anna, everything you just said is a hill that I die on as well, go and start to just expand your own horizon. Get on ChatGPT, right? Ask it some questions. I prompt it. We are a family of 4. We are a family of 2. It's just me and my partner. It's just me. Like, I want to be free. I want better tax structures. But these are the things that concern me. Lifestyle, blah, 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 blah. Make sure you look into all of that. I am a free fucking spirit. There is nothing that excites me more than potentially living in 3 countries around the world. I want different passports, right? If you feel like that's not for you, but you're like, I want to leave, prompt your chat GPT and have a conversation with it. Start to do DYOR, right? Do your own research. Because we have landed, but I just don't speak on behalf of Ryan. I have landed into this position. It's Ryan's as well, but because we know what we love. We have traveled to these countries. We know who we are. We know what we wanted. We sat down and had copious conversations over the last 2.5 years. This is not new for us. The first time I met Ryan, I was like, I will be living in 2-3 countries around the world. And he was like, fuck yeah, that's like my dream. So go DYOR, my loves. But I would recommend that you do. All right. Another one I want to speak into was there's heaps of questions around investment. I am actually going to do a whole call on this because everyone's asking, I've got this amount of money. Like, what do you invest in? I am literally for September, my inner circle, which is my $47 a month subscription coaching. I am talking my investment portfolio, which is not advice. It's my own story. in my Inner Circle September's call this month. And I'm bringing Coco back in as well because she's just so brilliant and wise. And we will be taking any and all questions from the floor for 90 minutes and talking into our own personal investment strategies. So get into my Inner Circle. I'll get Katie to link it in the show notes, or just come look me up on Instagram, find my bio. It's linked in my bio. It's $47 for just that call if you want, but month to month. And yeah, so for all the investment kind of questions, I'm going deep into that this month in my Inner Circle. And if you are listening back to this beyond September, you can sign up whenever you like, go back to September 2025, listen to that call. And if that was it, if that was like, you're good, cancel straight away and then you've gotten the call, right? But I would highly, highly, highly recommend you jump onto that. I had a question. I love this. Did you ever consider using dating apps? I used them, sis. I was on those apps. I've got no shade or shame about dating apps. I didn't find any kings, but that's not to say I wouldn't have, right? I'll say that. How do you get out of bed when I'm exhausted? I'm never really exhausted, right? I take care of my energy around that. But when I am feeling really fucking overwhelmed and over it, which has been more often than not recently, and elements of exhaustion, I just know staying in bed for me does genuinely make me feel worse. I will rest until I know I have gotten enough, right? I'm like, okay, that's 8 hours, 9 hours, sometimes 10 hours. I know getting up and going for a mental health walk, or getting up and like going and buying fresh flowers and prettying up the house a little bit or whatever makes me feel better. How to find a good accountant. The one thing I'll say on this is my own. I'm bringing H on, number group. I'll get Katie to link them in the show notes as well. The number one thing I've always said, I used to work in an accounting firm. It was my very first job. You need accountants that are proactive. The number one thing I look for in an accountant is that they are proactive, not reactive. That my pet fucking peeve would be following them up. Like, oh, guys, my BAS is due. Oh, guys, what am I doing? I literally feel like number group, and this is their standard across the board. Well, they do work for you, but literally work for me. It is the most soulfully nourishing, financially empowering position I've ever put myself in, working with good accountants. And I remember when I worked in an accounting firm when I was younger, 18 to 21 or 20, I remember seeing all the wealthiest men, and it was only men back then, unfortunately. I had no examples of strong women. That's a huge reason why I wanted to become a successful, wealthy woman. All the wealthiest businessmen had the owner of that firm, Peter, on speed dial. And any decisions they made, they were always in the office. They'd swing in and go, hey, has Peter got 5 minutes? And because they were the wealthiest, highest paying, Peter would always be like, absolutely, and go have a coffee like in the boardroom. And I was like, that's interesting. I clocked that. So I was always like, your accountant should be a friend. Like, you should not be, yeah. So just how to find a good accountant, mine, I highly recommend them. I get nothing for this, by the way. I pay full fees, number group, but it's just find an accountant that is proactive and never reactive. You should never be following an accountant up. They should be following you up. All right, I've got 10 minutes because I'm going to try and keep this podcast an hour, but I wanted to answer this because I know it's asked all the time and I have stayed away from it the whole time. But I definitely teased it a while ago saying like, ugh, I'm sick of like almost not protecting, but not giving this area of my life a voice because it's such a fucking obvious big one. And it's not about the stepmothering, but it's just the dynamics of all of that. So beautiful. I had a few questions around this. Do I get along with the kids? Like all of these kinds of questions. But one that I want to speak to and I love was, what is the hardest part of being a stepmother? So I'm going to try and do this in 10 minutes. It's also something that I regularly got during self-love school because there are so many women that find themselves in that stepmother role position. I asked Ryan straight away. I said, he has always said, whenever I want to speak about anything, whatever I want to say, obviously respecting the kids' privacy, which is my highest priority, let alone his, is respecting the kid's privacy. But when it comes to me and my role in it and my story and my experience, not theirs, he's like, go. You should be talking about it more. So I showed him the question and he was like, answer it today. Like, fucking do it because, like, you should. So, and I said, what would you say? What's your reflection of this? And he said exactly what I'm about to say. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. But before I speak into this, what I want to say is, Ryan's kids, when I met Ryan, were grown. So I never looked at myself as a stepmom. I was like, cool, you've got some some kids that I can be mates with. Like, what a gift. I very heavily relate to youth, right? I volunteered at the youth camp for several years. I just always get along with them. I have that young personality type where I can relate more to younger kids on any good or bad day of the week than a fucking adult. So I sort of came with that experience. So I was like, oh, awesome. You've got 3 cool kids. Like, literally, they're really cool. And I was like, great, I'm a mate. Because you guys, you and your, I won't say a name just out of respect and privacy, but you guys, you and your ex have raised these kids and done a remarkable job. So kudos. And they're old. Great. And I also will say why Ryan was the one, because they weren't young. But if I personally could not and would not date a man that had young kids, so different. And I was like, I am not in a season to be a second or third or fourth priority, as I should and would be if you had young children. But he had grown kids. So when I met him, I won't say their names either. I always try to protect them as much as possible. They're fucking legends though. His eldest was, we've been together 2 years, 20. So his eldest was 20, his middle child was 19, and his youngest was 16. No, so I think it was 16. Yeah, so 16, 18, 19 or 20, right? So they were old. They were older. They also lived with the mum because Ryan works. Ryan has worked 10 days away, 4 days home as a fucking phenomenal provider for them. He had worked like that for 7 years. So it was kind of like, it was all gravy. I was like, awesome, these kids, quote unquote, but they're young adults. These young adults are mates. I'm never going to be a stepmom. That's not a role I need, I want. And yeah, gravy, right? Everything was gravy. But I was like, I will always love these young adults. I will always respect these young adults. I will always respect your roles in it. And that's it. I'm just going to be a mate. And that's exactly my role. So I first want to say that is my role. They have only grown older. And however, his youngest, I call him Logs, his youngest moved in with us almost a year ago now, which I love. And I have adored witnessing and being a part of the growth and the confidence and the health journey that he has been on, because he has changed his life, which has been remarkable to watch. What has been so I never call myself a stepmom. I don't look at myself as a stepmom, but really beautifully, his boys started to call me that. They were like, oh yeah, my stepmom. And I was like, oh, and not out of anything. Like, I think it's the sweetest, most loveliest title essentially, but it really is just that, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I have had absolutely no role in any of their lives until 2.5 years ago. And yes, now obviously I have a direct role in their lives, but in terms of who they are up until when I met them, that was all their mum and their incredible dad, right? So I just so honor that, and I've always honored that. And now I only accept the title, quote unquote, of stepmom because his boys gave it to me. They were like, yeah, my stepmom. And they just thought more do it to their mates. Like, oh, that's my stepmom, or that's, yeah, my stepmom and my dad own this studio or whatever. And I'm like, how sweet. I feel like I could be their sister, not their like stepmom, but I think it's a really sweet title, and I receive it and I take ownership of it. So that's to compartmentalize that. The second thing I will say is that to answer the question and to give some more truth and voice to the dynamics of it all, the hardest part and the only hard part of having been their stepmom, quote unquote, but honestly just even without that title, a part of their life in a really healthy, respectful, loving, supportive way, is that I have not had a second, not 1 second of respect from their mum. It has been the most hardest, toxic, like shit situation you could possibly imagine. And blessedly and luckily, because they are all grown and they are all old, they all have and do continue to make their own choices. But I fucking tell you what, it's hard. Like it was hard, and it's not now because they are really all old. Like and Logs lives with us now, so his youngest, Logs, is 18 and a half. We have almost the same birthday, right? So we're 2 days apart, but just 19 years apart. So his youngest is almost 19, right? So they are fully grown in my eyes and opinion, adults, and well, they are. So and the youngest, who is now an adult, lives with us. So it is not hard anymore because Ryan was able to put really firm, healthy boundaries in place to protect me, in essence, and us and him. But my God, especially in the beginning, being someone who, and again, I have never and will never say one bad word, and I'm still not. I'm just explaining the situation. One bad word about their mum. I respect her role so much. She is their mum. She will always be their mum. I have never said a bad word. I will never say a bad word. And I've directly said this to the kids, that I hold the space, but they can trust that in our house, around me, there will never be that mentality or that fear that they can't then also talk about their mum in a loving way or any way. And I defend her sometimes. So that's my position. I think her and Ryan have done such a freaking remarkable job raising their kids. They really have. They're such solid, beautiful, kind kids, adults. But the hardest part, my God, by far, has consistently been being just so violently and aggressively disrespected by their mother. And it's not just with the kids, it's seeped into every area of our life. Their friendship group that Ryan and her had for Ryan's whole life. So it was Ryan's friendship group. So I have come under so much attack and so much bullying and so much vitriol from so much of his side, from her, in essence. It definitely came from her. And then also opinions were made because she would, there was just a lot that's happened. And that's her right? That's her prerogative. And I will say, like, for no reason. I literally was 2 years into their separation. I hadn't done anything. I've still never done anything. I will never do anything. It's just her journey, her projection, and her hurt to heal, her wound to heal. But in terms of what's been hard, it's definitely been that. And the beautiful thing for me is I've done enough growth, luckily. I've done enough healing, and I've had a beautiful example from my own mum in my life to know that my highest priority is only just to continue to love and protect the kids. And that's all that matters to me. And I deal with what I need to deal with for myself with Ryan and, besties and stuff like that. But when it comes to the kids, my only role and my only prerogative and all they feel is that there's love, there's support, and there's protection. And that's all they've received from me, and that's all they'll continue to receive from me. And it's the easiest thing for me to do in the world because they are good humans. So, but yeah, it's been really interesting. I never thought that I would be a step mum, quote unquote. But they're fucking legends. So it's just kind of like having extra cool friends. And they're just like, and their friends are really beautiful. So I said to Ryan the other day, we were, 3 of Logue's friends rocked up and overnight. And we were like, oh, hey guys, how's it going? Like, Logue's isn't here. Like, we were chatting for a bit and we were like, oh, come in, but like Logue's isn't here. And they're like, no, we know. Like, we talked to Logue's. Like, we know he's not here. We just came to see you guys. And we were like, oh my God. acted cool, right? And we're like, come in, like, and they sat on the couch and we all chatted for probably like an hour and a half, and just like chatted about life and chatted about their life and rah, rah, rah. And they left, and I said to Ryan, come on, that's got to be, I'm not a parent. So I said, but that's got to be one of the greatest accomplishments as a dad. Like, and me as well. Like, at this point in their life, late to the party, I said the fact that his kids' friends like to come over and have a chat. So in terms of my role, it's been really fun, if anything, and fun because I get to shape them now, right? Especially Logs. He lives with us. It's really only Logs. His middle, I love. He lives away as well. He's in Canberra. So yeah, it's been really fun, I think is the word I can say. But in terms of the hardest part, I've explained all that. It's been a very interesting journey, especially as Anna, who holds a fucking boundary and felt for a long while that I just kind of had to put up with it because there were kids involved in essence. And so I just didn't want to rock the boat, and I kept silent. And I will say that and I'll end it here because I'm just over the hour, but the biggest thing for me is that, so if you're in this, if you're going through this, because I was as well, when I actually finally set the boundary, and I sat with Logs as well, and I said, look, I'm just letting you know, like, this is what I will accept. You know, this is what's happened. This is what I will accept. This is what I will not accept anymore. You will never be involved. You're not a part of this. But I know he anyway, I'm not going to get into the semantics, but I said, this is where it's at. It was the healthiest thing I could have ever done. And I was like, God, I wish I did it earlier. So that's, if you're in it and you're like, yeah, I'm disrespected, you get to hold a boundary is what I've learned more than ever. But do it in a really safe, respectful way that still protects the kids. That is what I've learned. What a trip that I even have to, like, it still fucking blows my mind that I even answer these questions, because I'm like, how did I end up with a dude with 3 kids? But it's the best. It's honestly one of my favorite things about him, watching him dad and be a phenomenal father. And then it was so safe for me when I knew, like, every hormone in my body turned on when I met him, because I was like, oh my God, you're a daddy. You're so daddy. And we're so excited to bring more kids into the fold. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there. I hope that gave you enough, a lot, something, nothing. No, I hope it absolutely gave you something. I hope you got everything you needed from that, be it fertility, health, accountants, travel, Australian's position, taxation strategy, stepmumming. It's a wild ride. As I said, if you really want to get, if you were one of the ones that ask me, and I get this every day, like, I've got this money, what should I do with it? Where should I put it? I can never give advice. No one can ever give you advice. I think even financial planners have to be like, this isn't financial advice, but I will be sharing my story and my personal investment strategy, in essence, in my inner circle this month. And so will Coco. And then we will be answering every and any question from the floor. Always only speaking from experience. But yeah, jump on in or come back and sign up and go to September's call. As I said at the start, please remember, if you get anything from this, if you get something from this, like, subscribe, or it's actually follow. Like and subscribe is not correct. Follow on Spotify, follow on Apple iTunes, and or if you're on YouTube, definitely subscribe, because you will get notified as well when an episode drops. They're on there every single week. And if you loved this episode, if you love any episode, I would also be so grateful if you could leave a review. I never say that enough, but yet again, like, you do not understand how much it helps a podcast to grow. It gives me feedback as well, what you're loving, what you're not loving. And yeah, it just helps us continue to grow this episode and podcast, or episodes and podcasts. And it takes work. It takes work, sis. It takes a lot of work to do a podcast. So I will leave it there, as I always say, and I look at my tattoo when I say it. But until next episode, until next time, stay wild, friends. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Anything Goes. And if today's episode gave you maybe a new perspective, a little bit of a laugh, you learned something new, or just loved our trip to Taboo Town if we went there, it would honestly mean the world to me if you could leave me some love with writing a review and sharing this episode to your socials. You have no idea how much that helps my little podcast get out in the world. If you love what you gain from these conversations weekly with me as well and want more than just listening in, come and join my inner circle. It's my monthly mastermind where for just $47 a month, the real magic happens. You get me up close, no filter, live coaching. And if you get what you get from this free podcast, imagine what you get in a paid container. Links are in the show notes, friends. And until next time, stay wild.